Well, it looks like I'm the scumbag loader this time. My apologies in that regard, but Doom, I'm going to put the camera on you for a second. I'm going to make a pretty epic tweet about this, so take it away.
All right. I will take it away, Rifkin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Red Bull New York City Battlegrounds Qualifier number 2. We have our, I think it's just like our third matchup of the day here, and it's on Polar Night, spawning in the southernmost position from Roots Seed Academy. Relative newcomer to the scene, but a grandmaster nonetheless in the purple trunks, none other than Arium. His opponent, well known. You guys may have seen him on a show called StarCraft 2 Survivors. I won't spoil for you whether or not he won it or lost, but he is currently teamless. I believe he has joined a new team. We shall see it in the coming days what that will be. In the blue trunks, ladies and gentlemen, none other than Massan.
Alright, and I am back in this now. Sorry. Thank you for taking care of the introductions, Doom. Had to update the admins, had to let everybody know exactly what we're doing, etc., etc. But I do feel the need to point out the one thing that I always must point out in this map. Ladies and gentlemen, to the bottom right corner of Arium's base from Seed, it's gonna be the Lich King, to get my own introduction in there. This is just my favorite Easter egg, and I'll never stop like nerding about it because I was a Warcraft 3 fanatic first and foremost. I never really played Warcraft 2. Warcraft 3 was like my first big RTS game, and then of course World of Warcraft followed suit naturally, and the fact that he's here, it just tickles my nerd bone pretty hard. I probably could have phrased that much better.
Yeah, maybe.
But Massan playing it pretty standard. Knowing that the probe was at his base, knowing that it was probably going to be annoying and harassing him, he sends out two drones actually, but also with the pool first. We'll clean this up pretty quick. But Arium, not going to be able to get too much to accomplish. Now, it's worth noting, Arium is one of the younger StarCraft 2 players out there. I know a lot of people talk about how it's the younger generation that are really going to make StarCraft what it is in these upcoming days, but you know, I've seen this kid rage, I've seen him win, I've seen him be happy. He's probably never seen me there before, but I've checked out his stream before. And he's actually got some personality to him, a little bit pizzazz, if you will. So I'm not at all surprised that someone like Root, or I guess, Seed, picked him up. What I do think is really cool, though, is that TT Sports sponsors both Root and Seed. You know, lots of love going out there. But Massan is a player who is sadly kind of alone in the wilderness, I feel. Recently severing his connections with Quantic Gaming. A bit of drama, but it was all resolved and no hard feelings were left in the end. But this guy, it's not like he's got a lot to prove against Arium, but he's got a lot to prove by winning the qualifier for Red Bull. Getting to go to New York and compete could be huge as far as getting him a new team or even his own sort of sponsorship.
Wouldn't that be amazing? I would be so happy for Massan if that was the case. But, you know, this, like you were saying before, this is going to be a tall order for him. Arium has got some skills, man. And, you know, PvZ, I'm not sure what Massan's shape is in regard to that. I know Massan does stream pretty frequently. And I do believe he said he may have had a team, but I don't know, man. He's a pretty good troll.
Massan is like the master of mind games, let's be honest.
Yeah, he is. Definitely.
But whether he's got a team or not, one thing is the fact I'm going to be rooting for him in this series, and I'm going to be rooting for him today in Red Bull, because not only does he do a lot of playing, he does a lot of streaming, he does a lot of commentary. Quick little bump, you can check out his stream, twitch.tv/MassanSC. But most importantly, he's actually cast with me on Base Raid on multiple occasions. You and I have had the pleasure of even doing an awkward tri-cast with him from time to time. He's a funny guy, but most importantly, he knows his stuff.
He certainly does. And I think it's going to come down to, you know, who's going to be able to take the better engagements and when that situation pops up, because both players are playing relatively passive here in the early stages. You know, this is a stark difference between the last series we watched in PvZ, where neither player is really making a move and both are posturing to make their way into the mid game here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just the thing about Arium. He's, how do I phrase this? He might be young, and he's certainly got experience playing StarCraft, but he probably doesn't have a whole lot of tournament experience under his belt. And that's one thing Massan certainly does have. While we've never had the pleasure of watching him win any games, he's going to be the last person to crack under pressure, I feel, today. Arium, however, being a little bit, I don't know what we would call it, greener, I guess, to the tournament scene, hasn't been competing in nearly as many weekly cups and hasn't been around as long, probably hasn't even been to nearly as many live events, so This could be a big deal for him, and the worst case scenario is like when you defeat yourself before your opponent even has a chance to.
That's devastating when that happens. But ooh, whoa, okay. So I saw Dark Shrine. Okay,
I think it's because
curious.
I don't think he realized Massan's Overlord was there. If you check his vision, you actually cannot see the Overlord, I guess, until you put the Dark Shrine down, and then you can.
Okay.
So goes for the sneaky move. There. Yeah, great Overlord positioning, period. But because of this, we see him going in, starting to invest into Blake. So opening with DTs, all right, didn't work out, but he didn't invest into it. He canceled it pretty quickly. There was no like waste of resources. But however, late game, I apologize to English speakers everywhere. But anyways, the point is, he'll be able to get Dark Templar in the late game sometimes, so really catch an opponent off guard. I don't think Massan is going to be caught with his pants down in that regards, but sometimes all it takes is sneaking 3 Dark Templar into mineral lines, and you can turn the game in your favor.
I'm really going to commend Massan for his map vision right now, Rifkin. He's got both watchtowers, really good Overlord positioning. Doesn't have the creep spread going just yet, but I think he's going to be pushing across the map with this very large handful of roaches. And if he's able to break that wall down, and he follows that up with a flood of speedlings behind that, it could be pretty devastating for Arium in this situation. I'm not sure Arium really knows what's coming out of it at this point.
No, but one thing that's really important is this probe, I feel, will be a very important probe later on. Oh, unless it gets caught now. Massan looking for proxy pylons will accidentally find the probe, and sadly it's going to get killed before it can be a hero. John Connor was killed by the Terminators before he could even have a chance to save the humans in the resistance, because getting a pylon down behind enemy lines when your opponent is right in your base, the last thing they're going to be thinking is you've got something snuck out across the field. So really unfortunate that Arium just lost that opportunity. Not going to cost him the game, but that was a potential advantage that has now been stripped away by Massan's methodical movements throughout the map.
Did Arium see the roaches is my question, and does Massan know that the Dark Shrine was cancelled? I believe he built his lair at the natural, because I think Arium's known for going for DT drop style, where he just focuses down your lair and tries to punish you based off of that with the DTs. But regardless, he's gonna see the big flood of units moving across the field now. Massan is gonna turn around, it appears.
Yeah, not a lot he can do until he really gets Hydralisks on the field. The den's now completing. We don't have that speedy hive tech, so we're not going to see Vipers make an approach onto the game just yet. But, ooh, we do have Burrow coming up, and this makes me happy because one really good way to deal with someone who's got a lot of sentries is to go for Burrow tech. You can Bane Rain, you can do other crazy things if you're, I guess, you're Snoot, but if you're a player like Massan and you've got some good micro, one thing I'll point out is Arium does not have an observer with his army. In fact, he does not have an observer on the field, period. So if he gets caught in force fields, all Massan needs to do is burrow and wait them out, and it will be a non-issue. But Burrow's not done yet. He's going to take an engagement. Time Warp's being thrown down left and right. Getting close into this. He's going to focus down the Immortals on the front lines, but Arium picks him up with some great control. We'll keep them alive a little bit longer, but Doom, are there just too many roaches?
There are. This is a crazy optimal position here for Massan, getting in a monstrous spread. Force field really not effective.
Trying to save that other Immortal, perhaps didn't realize he picked up a Stalker. Scumbag Stalker trying to save his own life. Cost him 2 more Immortals.
Yeah, and Massan is going to maintain the supply lead here. 137 overall supply to 65 from Arium. Looking at the army supplies themselves, 72 from Massan, 32 now for Arium. And this is not an optimal situation, not on 3 base for Arium. And Massan easily moving across the field here. He could even push in and focus fire down the Immortal, but good, continuing to have good War Prison play is Arium in this situation. Hydras may have something to say about that soon, Rifkin.
If Massan takes out the cannon, again, no detection means Burrow could be a really big problem. But perhaps Massan doesn't recognize that Arium has no observers. Perhaps he's just assuming he does because most Protoss players do, and not be able to take advantage of that right now. But he did just crush the army of our Protoss player, and his army supply has not been replenished yet, 44 to 80. Now, yes, roaches are inflated. They are not exactly too effective as we get later in the game, but this is still that early stage where there's not a lot of upgrades on either side of the field, so roaches are going to be quite effective.
I don't know how I feel about Massan turning around there. I get that you want to play a little bit patient, but with this warping coming in at the 4th base, this is going to pull Massan's, his ire back even more, and this is going to distract him from perhaps really focusing on what his plan's going to be. Of course, Arium doesn't have that 3rd base up, and I feel like maybe he's pushing towards some type of all-in style push, because it doesn't look like he intends to take a 3rd base at all here, Riffing.
Yeah, what strikes me most curious is the fact that there's not a lot of sentries with this army. There's Immortals, there's Blink Stalkers, but those are only going to do so much, and I don't know. Massan
Yeah,
moving onto the
usually-
Spire. If he takes down these stalkers and just maxes the Mutalisks, what can Arium even do?
Usually you'd see the sentries worked in to start banking up energy for a future attack, but that's definitely not the case, as yes, he's continuing to warp in zealots back here. He's got a very large gateway infrastructure, but his minerals, his income really is faltering here as the main base continues to be mined out farther. And we'll see what his plan is to go forward from here. He's going to be making the observer at this point and moving on towards the west side of the map. Maybe he's going to be trying to target down that 4th base in a concerted attack, and he's got a pretty big army here. Massan is going to have that remax, and he's going to have a very smaller rally point. That blink, very aggressive blink forward here, though, coming out of area.
Yeah, Link's coming in from the side, actually getting right on top of the sentries. Force Fields go down perhaps a little too late. Some pretty decent micro coming out of Arium, but it's not going to be enough to stop the horde of Zerg here. Most of the Roaches have been taken out, but with the Mutalisks here, the Immortals have nothing to shoot upwards. And these last couple Stalkers go down, good game is called. And Massan will take game 1 in this best of 3.
Not bad at all there from Massan. I'm actually really impressed with this play, man.
Oh, absolutely. That's